lovely, beautiful Pisces friends, and welcome to your horoscope for 2024, where Saturn this year, we are going to continue with Saturn and Neptune traveling through your sign. And I want to tell you out of the gate, with all of the rest of the planetary changes coming around, this is one of my favorite because it's actually putting you in position to really author your own story, take responsibility, manage some things in your life a way that really demonstrate that you have the mastery of self. And that is so incredibly empowering. So I can't wait to talk to you about that. But also to make sure that you are really prepared for 2024, I have also collaborated with 4 other brilliant astrologers, and we are going to break your 2024 horoscope down by finance, relationship, medical, and spiritual development as well. So thank you so much to Wade Caves, Christopher Renstrom, Cameron Allen, and Tiffany Harlick, because you guys, I went and got you some of the best, and they said yes. So Pisces, we are going to have you taken care of. I want to tell you, grab pen, grab paper, grab what you need, put this video on, listen to it many times throughout the year, but take note of the timing and the things that are being shared with you. And also, to make sure that your toolkit is nice and full, make sure you grab your digital transit calendar from our friends at Wise Guys Collective. Click in the description box down below. Take advantage of my discount so that you get a little discount on these beautiful transits, and they come right to your phone. So if you are on, the banks of Costa Rica, or you are over in Oregon, you get it coming to your phone at the time it's happening for you. And there is nothing more empowering than being in alignment with the energies that are happening around you. So take advantage. And you can also get in contact with any one of the astrologers that is going to be in our video here in that description box down below as well. All right, Pisces, in we go. So first and foremost, let's start with that Saturn Neptune in Pisces. It will continue this year through your first house. So things have been dissolving, like some pieces of your old identity, maybe even external environments that you lived in. And life can be a little bit more of a dream, right? It's like I'm living in this place where I have to decide if these are the right ideals for me. What is my new ideal alignment for how I would like to be, who I would like to be in the world? But it's also very spiritually centered. I think you're trusting your intuition like never before. It's also had its own maturing going on with Saturn being in Pisces. But for some of you too, this has just been about full on getting mastery of the self, right? How are you doing with your diet? How are you doing with your aesthetics in your personal zone? What responsibilities did you pick up and take on that you're in charge of managing? Who are you in your relationships? There's so much mastery, and you're going to continue to work on it as we travel throughout 2024. So just know that you're here, you are in the development. And I want to say this as well. Okay, I know that Saturn and Neptune, it's like one is trying to push the brake, the other one is like, what brake? You know what I mean? But this is a great year for weight loss. Saturn can be a helper for weight loss, so hopefully you're losing weight and that's something you're choosing to do. But it can be great if you need to put a structure in place around something in your physical body or even in your daily routine, okay? Now, we've also got Pluto moving out of Capricorn and moving into the vibration of Aquarius. Now, Pisces, we're going to move out of a year where we have so much earth and water, which is actually very comfortable to you, to a year where we've got more air and fire. So Pisces, sometimes that can be a bit more of an uncomfortable vibration. So I just want you to be mindful of your own energy and the speed that you're working at this year as well. Now, something even better you can do is check out my progressed lunar phase class so that you can see what season of life you're actually in, or check it out on my website, stormiegrace.com, okay? But we're going to see Pluto move out of the energy of Capricorn and into that vibration of Aquarius. Now, it's only for a short stay. So we're really going to still be focusing on a lot of what's changing in your social groups, your tribe, social media, science, organizations in your life, places where there are groupings of people. This is still continuing to make a change. And one of the biggest things that Pluto and Capricorn has done for your 11th house is really make it clear that you do not digital nomad. You can be a digital nomad if that's something that you would like to do, like the way that technology can really play into your life, which is a really cool thing. But also, I think bringing you more solid friendships that you can really work and build with. So as Pluto jumps for just a bit into the Aquarius vibration, it lights up your 12th house space. So transformation to your spiritual life, I think, is going to be really big. And this year, you're just getting the omen of what is to come as we're going to travel in 2025. So first of all, go back to March of 2023 when Pluto jumped into Aquarius the first time. What was starting to happen for you in your 12th house? This can be the house of, behaviors, actions, attitudes, secrets that you didn't know were there, and they come up and they could be your own undoing if you're not doing something about them. Illnesses could have presented themselves and now you know and you're able to do something about them. But creative talents, trusting your intuition, the moving between the worlds and absolute creativity, things around elderly people or situations with children could have become very pronounced to you. So look back to your March 2023 and what was happening, because we're going to see symptoms of those changes transforming right here in 2024. We're also going to see the nodes traveling through Aries and Libra, and we're going to do a little touch in with those nodes in Virgo and Pisces as well, but I'll talk to you about that as we're actually in the monthlies and in the weeklies, okay? But as we're going to put a focus on this Aries-Libra axis, remember that North node in Aries is pulling you forward. It's like, yep, come on, come forward, come this direction. You have to initiate a change. You have to say, I'm doing this. I'm willing to fight for this. I'm willing to make adjustments to where I am willing to make adjustments. It's like this, Pisces. It is where the North Node in Aries says there is a gap between the life that I say that I want and the behaviors that I am showing up with. And I am willing to take responsibility for that. Okay, whatever that has to look like. But as you're taking responsibility, as you're initiating a start there, the people that you need, your destiny people, your spirit guides, your soulmates are going to show up to help you do it, because what you're trying to do is on time and on track, okay? So you're moving towards that, and this is in your money house, how you make money, how you value yourself, what you charge for your creative talents, your budget, things like that. Now that South Node in Libra is here on the other side in that 8th house going, there's a relationship that needs to be detoxed from your life, or how you are engaging in a relationship needs to have a detox so that these two things can come together, because the 2nd and 8th houses are not only financial houses, so something changing in your financial world is the thing, but also it's an intimacy house, intimacy and assets. So, do you feel intimately connected to your partner? What's happening there? Is there a breakdown? And that's something that you're having to, in your me and we dynamic, renegotiate. Are you in a long-term relationship? And where's the sex? Where's the intimacy? Where's the connection? Where's the resource where you're sharing and stimulating each other in those ways? When you're practicing astrology or you're going through healing, right? Where are you participating with these sides, and what needs to be renegotiated in the relationship dynamic? So you'll have plenty of time to work on that as well. Now, we're going to continue to see that we've also got Jupiter, your other ruling planet, traveling with Uranus through the vibration of Taurus. Now, they're going to travel together for this first little bit, but Uranus over here in Taurus has been zinging and whipping your 3rd house. So lots of conversation, lots of different kind of conversations have come to your world, not all pleasant. There have been breakdowns in conversation, contracts, negotiations, things having to do with buying, selling houses, teaching, taking courses, creating courses, writing those books, things with siblings and family, especially family if you're short distance from them. This has been really, really big. And I do think for some of you, there were big contracts that ended, and you were able to let those go with that Uranus and Taurus. So you're going to stay stimulated in this way. So what I'm going to tell you is stay flexible this year. Stay flexible in how you communicate, how you learn in these kinds of things. Now, Jupiter is going to move into the vibration of Gemini and get into a fellow mutable energy. So you're like, okay, I get this a little bit more, right? You're like, I got it. I think how you think, okay? And as this happens, you're going to start to have an expansion and start gaining a lot of experience and demonstrating wisdom in your 4th house, home, family, real estate, property, your roots, things with your parents. The dynamics of expansion are here. And for some of you, I'm really seeing it. You live someplace else. Like you have traveled, like you have picked up your little fish house and you are living someplace else. You've taken your family someplace else, or you're taking them on this expansion of new beliefs in some way, shape, or form. Jupiter is no stranger to bringing new people into your house or having them leave on their own adventures as well. So please make sure you keep me posted in the comment section down below. Is somebody coming into your house? Are you going to live under a rock now? Like, what are you doing? My beautiful Pisces friends, just keep me posted in the comment section down below. All right, my beautiful Pisces friends, I love you so much, and I look forward to seeing you every month, every week, and if you're following me on Instagram, every day as well. But right now, I'm going to leave you in the hands of Wade Caves, who's going to walk you through your financial timing for 2024 so that you can really have that on point, okay? I love you, my beautiful fish. Bye.
So there is a bit of a pileup happening in 2024 that's a bit tough for the mutable signs. I think the mutable signs that have it hardest are Sagittarius and Pisces. So this may not be, the easiest year for financial expansion, but there's still some good periods to work with. I mean, in the beginning of the year, Mars enters Capricorn. That casts a sextile to your natal sun or ascendant sign of Pisces. And then while there, Mars will send a sextile to Saturn in Pisces, and it will trine Jupiter and Taurus. These are fantastic transits that can help really alleviate some of the strain that comes from having Saturn pass through your sign, as it has been for the past year and will continue through 2024. In April, Mars will be in Pisces, and that's not typically very helpful, but Mars for Pisces anyway, but Mars and Pisces will be in sextile to Jupiter and Taurus. And so there's this little window here where we can see some really positive traction. But as I've said, it's a bit of a tough year for the mutable signs, particularly if you are a Pisces, because we've got Saturn in Pisces for the entire year. Mars makes its ingress into Pisces in March and will conjoin with Saturn around mid-April. So these are periods that you'll definitely want to be taking a bit of a break from, big financial changes or moves. Although, like I said, around that April 19th period, there is something quite positive. And then Mars leaves Pisces on the 30th of April. Saturn will station retrograde in June at 19 degrees of Pisces and continue retrograde until middle of November. So this is going to be a bit of a broad, overarching, tough period when you've got the big bad in the sky going backwards, which can show hesitancies, delays, reversals. Mars entering Gemini in mid-July. Also something to watch for, because Mars in Gemini is going to be in square to your natal ascendant or sun in Pisces, and that square can really stir up some challenges. It's really what's happening in August, though, that doubles down on the difficulty. Mars and Jupiter are in conjunction with one another in Gemini, normally a very favorable aspect, actually, for expanding one's financial position. It's just that both Mars and Jupiter rush almost immediately to a square with Saturn and Pisces in this time. Remember, Saturn's retrograde, so this isn't just your normal square. It brings in additional complications from things being slowed down and delayed. We do have a lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of Pisces in September, and in 2024, we'll have the nodes in Pisces and Virgo, and so we'll start to see more eclipse activity in these signs. So this is really a forerunner, and something that we'll see more of as we begin to enter into a new nodal ingress. October, Jupiter turns retrograde in Gemini. Maybe not, the end of the world. It's not the worst aspect on the screen, but it is something to pay attention to if you have personal placements around 21 degrees of Pisces. Same with Mercury's retrograde station at the end of November. This will be in a sign square to your own. And so just like Jupiter, that square, if you've got personal placements around 22 degrees of Pisces, it can be, stirring up unnecessary problems for you. And then we close the year out on a rather tough aspect between Saturn and Jupiter. Jupiter will be direct at this time, retrograding to a square of a direct Saturn in Pisces. So that square is not typically very helpful. You can see it happens around the winter holidays. So if you plan to travel at this time, you might want to get your tickets early. Don't get yourself in a position where you feel financially bound. Double check, get insurance, make sure you got the right dates, and travel details all locked in so that you're not experiencing the hard part of that particular square.
Pisces. 2024 is a fun and funny year for you. Okay, it's not altogether like fun. I mean, you have Saturn in your sign. Saturn entered your sign in March of 2023, and it's going to be there until about June of 2025. And so when Saturn comes into your zodiac sign, there's always a feeling of heaviness. And almost solitude or seeking solitude. Now, if you're like a Gemini or Libra, it's like, oh my goodness, Saturn cramping my style, But if you're Pisces, it's like, I like solitude. I like retreating into myself. I like being by myself. Okay. And it's funny because when I've spoken to Pisces about Saturn in their sign, I always sort of start with like, oh, what's it been like or whatever. And they're kind of like, I've liked it. Now, I'm not saying all of you Pisceans have liked it. I mean, Saturn does bring burdens and obligations and a sense of plateau or being static, maybe even stagnant in some way. But for Pisces, that sense of retreating back into the self and not having to present to others, it's kind of a nice feeling, and so that might in some ways be your guilty secret, is that, okay, I haven't felt very social and I've kind of liked that a lot. Okay, so Saturn in Pisces is like that. Saturn in Pisces, as I have also just said, is associated with heavy responsibilities and obligations, and these are things that you probably had to face on your own, and you will continue to face these on your own, where you may be carrying the heavier part of an association, where you may be showing up in a relationship more than the other person in the relationship shows up for you, where you might be helping a friend who's going through a very difficult time. Okay, so these sorts of things may continue. But what's interesting is that there is a relationship that's on the periphery, for Pisces people. Now, some Pisces people would say, which one? And Pisces has been known to have serial relationships. I mean, I think, I know that Elizabeth Taylor was a Pisces, but I think she married like 7 times. And so Pisces can have a lot of relationships that are going on at the same time. But there's one that's starting to become more meaningful for you. And it's just, but it may just still be in a casual place, or it may be in a kind of like they're involved in some sort of melodrama thing, or you're involved in some sort of melodrama thing, that you may be seeing each other kind of like on the side, or maybe, you're separated by a long distance, something along those lines. Saturn is astrology's version of the Catholic nun at a high school mixer. Okay, always showing up with the ruler and saying 3 feet between the two people, move it off, 3 feet. So Saturn's always introducing spaces in your togetherness, okay, or distance in your togetherness. But this is going to change when Jupiter enters Gemini, and Jupiter enters Gemini on May 25th. But before Jupiter enters Gemini, let me tell you, Pisces, about one of the best times. I think it's actually the best time of the year. And this best time of the year goes on from May 18th until May 23rd. Okay, you get 5 days for best time of year, but it's a fabulous time of year. Why is this such a good time of year, Christopher? What makes May 18th to the 23rd such a special time? Well, what it does is that Jupiter conjoins the sun, and Jupiter is your traditional ruling planet, at 28 degrees Taurus. Okay, so that's a special conjunction. But what makes it even more special, and remember, Jupiter conjoining the sun, Jupiter is the planet of good fortune and higher purpose. And it can also be a planet that brings love into your life. Okay, Jupiter conjoins the sun at 28 degrees Taurus on May 18th. And then Jupiter forms a sextile to Neptune at 29 degrees Taurus. Jupiter's moved to 29 degrees Taurus, and Neptune is at 29 degrees Pisces on May 23rd. Why is that such a big deal? It's such a big deal for you because Jupiter and Neptune are the two co-rulers of your zodiac sign. The ruling planets are a big deal. For me, the ruling planet is always the planet that rules the sun sign. And everyone's got at least one ruling planet. Leos have the sun, Cancer has moon, Gemini and Virgo both share Mercury, twinsies. But with certain signs like Pisces, Aquarius is one, Scorpio is another, you have two ruling planets. And when you have two ruling planets, you have to answer to both of them. Sometimes the ruling planets are on the same page, and sometimes the ruling planets are not on the same page. But they are your two masters and you must serve both. So it's very rare when you have Jupiter and Neptune sextiling in such benevolent signs for you. Taurus is a wonderful energy with Pisces. So having Jupiter and Taurus is a really wonderful thing, but it's approaching a sextile to Neptune at the last degree of Pisces. And it also rules the Neptune at the last degree of Pisces, this Jupiter. So this is very powerful, not powerful in powerful stock market or play the lottery or, make that move. No, it's powerful in that it's bringing together a very strong and valuable property aspect into your life. I'm seeing it as relationship based, okay, and so it can be romantic, but it can be love, it can be agape love, and it could be love of a friend or loved one. But it's a beautiful, beautiful sextile. It could even be maybe you're parting ways with someone that you hadn't gotten along with, and the person finally grants you the divorce, or the person finally says, you know what, I've always treasured and loved you as a friend, and I wish I could have been a better one. So there's something about this sextile, even if it's signaling a departure, in which you're parting on really beautiful terms, in which things that haven't been said are finally said, and they're very enriching, and they're very supportive, and they're very encouraging. Then Jupiter moves into Gemini on May 25th, and what that does immediately is lighten the tone of the year for you. Why does it lighten the tone of the year for you? Because Gemini lightens the tone of the year for everybody, okay? And Jupiter entering into that marvelously friendly and copacetic and just charming, playful sign. It changes the nature of relationships. Relationships become much more conducive, and they become more conducive for you because Jupiter is your traditional ruling planet. So, maybe that sextile meant the end of a relationship, and now you have the beginning of one, or maybe you've got a new development in an ongoing relationship that really becomes concretized when Jupiter enters Gemini on May 25th, but it's there on the table. And what's really nice about this is that it lightens up, as I said, it lights up the emotional energy of the chart, where the Saturn can be sort of isolationist, or it can be heavy, or it can be like, Greta Garbo, I want to be alone, something like that. Jupiter in Gemini introduces people who are like, hey, Pisces, what's going on? And people who want to get you out and about, people who want to sort of change your thinking about the way that you live your life, and they might invite you to go on trips together, or to go to other places, or something along those lines. But in any case, it introduces a dangerous word for Pisces: frivolity. Okay, it introduces frivolity into your life, and this is a good thing. Now, Jupiter will square Saturn in your sign twice this year in 2024. It will square on August 20th, and it will square on December 24th. And what I see happening is you may be in a relationship or a strengthening relationship with someone in which you don't feel like the person is as emotionally deep as you. Okay. Where you might, be wanting to talk about something, that's very existential or very profound, and the person's like, sounds great. What do you want to have for dinner? Okay, they just might be onto and you might sort of feel like, maybe we're not on the same level. Maybe we're not, this person is too superficial, or this person is too, caught up in what they're having for dinner, or something along those lines. Or this person wants to hang out with their friends more than me, or I can't stand this person. His friends are also silly, and I'm too profound. Something along these lines. And this is actually a good square for you. Pisces has a tendency to expect people to be on the same emotional depth that they are, and that if someone isn't or can't match that emotional depth, then the relationship's doomed. You're not going to get together, something along those lines. Or sometimes you even do the emoting for both people, What this does is that this forces you to deal with someone who's not going to go that deep, but that doesn't mean it's meaningless. Okay. And it doesn't mean that it's not important. And most of all, it doesn't mean that it's not lovely or romantic. All right. Sometimes what you have with squares, it's kind of like when salt water meets fresh water from two different streams or rivers. You have a mixing of the different waters. And that's almost really what I see with this marvelous Saturn-Jupiter square, is this mixing of the waters where you can almost feel like you can be deep and surface, and deep and surface, and becoming more comfortable with that, and not having to always, be the serious emotional, angst ridden one of the couple. And I actually see this energy playing off. Now, whether you stay with each other or not remains to be seen. We have Neptune changing signs next year, so that's going to change the balance of relationships and their tone. And if it doesn't come together, it's not going to pass. This will be a new color that's added to the tapestry of your psyche. But what I see is actually, I don't know. I think it will come together, and I think it will stay together. And I think it's all about the difference between the two of you. What this is kind of what this is playing with is what I mentioned earlier when I was talking about Aquarius. Neptune is at 29 degrees Pisces throughout a good chunk of 2024. It's from May to September of 2024. So 29 degrees Pisces is really the end of something, all right? But it's right on the cusp of something beginning. So there's this feeling of being in a profound transition, but not really getting to the other side of it until we get into 2025. So that's why I wouldn't be so quick, if I were you, Pisces, to be maybe judgmental about relationships or ruling out things, and to actually be very open to what people are bringing into your life, even though it may seem like it doesn't really fit who you are. What's going on here is that it is setting up the transition of Neptune leaving Pisces and entering Aries in March of 2025. And it's a very slow transition, but this whole feeling is what's going on in 2024. And to really let yourself revel and enjoy it, because you might end up the year being very surprised with where you find yourself in a relationship, by maybe perhaps going out with someone that you wouldn't have gone out with before, or making changes in your lifestyle that you didn't really think that you had in you. But it all leads into 2025. And my feeling is that it's really a transition preparing you for 2025. And so who knows, that might be saying that it may take until March of 2025 for you and this person to really get together.
Hey everybody, Cameron here, and welcome to your 2024 forecast for Pisces rising for medical astrology. So, Pisces rising, as you already know, Saturn is moving through your first house. And so, really, to be quite honest, there's no need to look any further than there. And when it comes to Saturn moving through the first house, oftentimes this can bring a slowing down energy, a depressive energy. And when I say depressive, I don't mean like clinical depression, but just kind of like sad or feelings of like stagnation or limitation, or as if my energy feels cold and dry and starting to slow down a bit, right? And so even like life is pressing down on me, that kind of depression, not depression like, anyway, clinical depression, right? And so something that's really important for the Pisces rising is the lymphatic system. And knowing that when Saturn comes around to your first house, if we're thinking about the lymphatic system, we know that Saturn is very cold and dry. And Saturn creates restriction in the body oftentimes. And so the lymphatic system, that is the last thing that it needs. The last thing that it needs is for it to go cold. The last thing for it we need for it is to get dry. And so with that, we need a lot of motion and a lot of flow. And so, since Saturn's coming around, we need to make sure that's happening for ourselves, because Saturn might be um, bringing to us an opposite quality of that. So, I'm thinking this year, just like anything having to do with flow and motion of the body. Even when I started saying that, I started moving in a way that's more flow oriented. And so, something that can be really simple is think about where your lymphatic system is the most dense at. So, here, just tapping, just to make sure everything's moving. Here, just making sure the lymphatic system is active. And also, when we think about Saturn leading to potential restriction and depression in the tissue states, what we can bring in with this practice is stimulation. It's the opposite quality of Saturn. Flow and allowance. Just let your body move unhindered in any way that feels good to you. And just letting your body flow. Yeah. Also, something else to be very mindful of is that the eclipses are going through your second house and your eighth house. And so we want to focus in on the eclipses, especially when the eclipses are in Libra. Now, the eclipses will be in Libra on March 24th and October 2nd. However, the one to really watch out for is that eclipse on October 2nd, because that eclipse will be happening with the sun in Libra. And the sun in Libra can have like a little bit of issues there sometimes when it comes to the vital force, and also the time of the season can also bring a more slow energy, and can tend to make things a little sluggish. So you want to be mindful during that time as well. Maybe during that time you want to give the lower back part of your body more love. And maybe you want to supplement more with things that give you more energy. And just know that it's not necessarily easy. With your energy levels this year, it might not necessarily be easy. And that's okay, because we have astrology. And we know that that can bring a sense of slowness. So we find ways in order to let things move. Right now, I'm thinking about like ginger tea is something that could be like really helpful to make sure things are still circulating. We know that Saturn is cold, and the sun brings warmth and lightness to it and awareness to it. So having like a simple ginger tea can be super helpful. Of course, I'm not your primary healthcare physician, so you need to check in with that or your local herbalist or any practitioners that you work with. So just be mindful of that. Also, another thing that's been really big and coming up with every single zodiac sign, well, not every single zodiac sign, but most zodiac signs for the year, is this period of time where Mars is with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And since that's in your first house, it's going to be even more emphasized for you more than anyone else. So between March 22nd to April 29th, you want to really make sure you're putting a lot of effort towards not allowing yourself to descend into a heavy feeling. That doesn't mean you won't have a heavy feeling. That doesn't mean you won't have any type of grief or anything like that. But just know that that is a time period where you have to make a choice and be responsible for your body and your health more than the rest of the year. So that's your medical astrology 2024 forecast for Pisces. And I hope y'all all stay in the flow throughout the year. Peace.
Hey Pisces, I'm Tiffany Harlick, and I'm here to give you a spiritual astrology forecast for 2024. So if you are a Pisces sun, moon, or rising, or you're here to watch a Pisces that you love, you're in the right place. So that's a little bit about me. And as we start this, my promise to you is to deliver clear, concise, and accurate information with a heart-centered delivery. And your promise to me is to never use this information against yourself, to only use astrology as guidelines, and to always follow your heart, follow your free will, and get inspired by the planetary influences going on in the sky. Pisces, your spiritual opportunity is to have a mystical rebirth. This was one of my favorite ones to write. So I hope you really enjoy this forecast. I hope that your year is amazing, best ever, especially if you're into the metaphysical world like I am. I think you're going to have a lot of good, juicy, esoteric connections, some fated joint ventures, some opportunities to collaborate with people, maybe some opportunities to expand your intellectual property, and really dream up a new financial future and collaborate with spirit. This is a mystical opportunity, not a physical one. So don't stop before the miracle happens, Pisces. Your ruling planets are Jupiter and Neptune. We are focused on Jupiter for purposes of this forecast. So Jupiter is a primal motivating factor in helping you understand how to work with the astrology this year. And how are you going to rise to the occasion of your inner Jupiter, Pisces? What ideas are you going to stop using against yourself, right? So in terms of this mystical rebirth, it's going to come out in these 4 quarters like this. The first one is about interconnectivity. The second one is a financial reboot, which is going to be awesome. And the third one is going to have to do with your physical health and your metaphysical health. The fourth one is about answering a calling, which is much more than working a job. So your first quarter about being interconnected. You have a lot of momentum in the skies. Not all of the signs have the same momentum that you have in January. It is a 9-month in the numerology, which is about completion and integration and things coming full circle, wrapping something up. And for you, I want you to look for the wins. I want you to identify what has gone well in the past and all of the milestones that you have celebrated and the milestones that you want to celebrate this year. In February, the numerology shifts to a 1, which is about having focus. And we just need to be careful to not have the blinders on and to not alienate ourselves. You're on a spiritual mission, and Mercury, Venus, and Mars all square Jupiter. And so you could very well feel pushed out of your comfort zone in February. You might get to a point where enough is enough. And so be careful with the momentum that you're feeling in January, with what you want to do with that momentum in February. In March, this is a 2-month in the numerology. This is about the relationships that we have in our lives. This is about the interconnectivity that is going on in your quarter. And it's not just about the people or the pets or the places that we have relationship to, but it also is that relationship between the physical and the metaphysical, right? This life and the next, this world and the afterworld, our own human life and our connection to our higher power. And so what kind of thing can you co-create with your higher power, with your spirit guides, with your angels, with your teams? This effort of co-creation is going to help remind you that you are not alone, that you don't have to do this alone, that this isn't just a single-minded effort, that you have a network, that you have a team, and that there are willing participants that want to support you in your journey. There's opportunity for big magic to happen when you reach out and connect. Now, the March eclipse kicks off your eclipse season here. This is going to be in Libra, the sign of partnerships, in your 8th house, having to do with the deepest human bonds, having to do with shared resources, having to do with understanding your value and your worth. So I invite you to grab a screenshot of this and journal through some of these support themes. This is a sacred reunification with your values, your value system, knowing your core values, knowing how you spend money, knowing where you self-sabotage, leaving things that feel really controlling for things that feel a little bit more open-ended, understanding how you where you place your value, where you find value in your life, not journeying with like the emotional entanglements or the financial entanglements anymore. These are the themes to play with. And I invite you, Pisces, to create a personal mission statement, especially early in the year. It's going to help you stay clear and focused as the year unfolds. So maybe it's a new bio. Maybe it's your autobiography. Maybe you're telling your story this year. Or maybe you're just writing a new mission statement that incorporates something that's a little bit more spiritual than it is tangible. Your self-development, I want you to create a playlist that helps you to stay in the mood of devotion, in the mood of connection, in the mood of creativity. For your stewardship, I want you to find a volunteer opportunity. And you don't have to overdo it, but just one little opportunity to be of service this quarter. And for your activity, you know, the human mind in the yogic and Buddhist philosophy is geared towards suffering. And so the kleshas help us understand the cause of suffering, right? And there's 5 kleshas. And so I want you to journal through your awareness of each of the kleshas, and I've listed them here for you. Because of the 8th house focus on shared spaces, shared resources, the deepest human bonds, the people we viscerally love and want to be in partnership with, I want you to check out Lynn McTaggart's book on the power of 8. You might have read The Field, you might have read The Intention Experiment, and I'm just curious if this one will help you this time of the year. Your second quarter is a financial reboot. In April, this is one of the biggest months of the year in astrology. April, we have a Mercury retrograde in your 2nd house of finances, and there's an eclipse in your 2nd house of finances. So for sure, the budget is going to be a conversation. And I want you to look for big windfalls, big financial wins. Things happen suddenly, quickly, and in a big way. And I want that to be good for you, Pisces. This is because of the April 20th Jupiter-Uranus conjunction happening in your 3rd house of information. And so if you're wanting big media, if you're wanting loud attention, if you're wanting things to happen quickly, a transmission of information to the masses, a mass sighting, a mass ability to be exposed with your brand, something like this could happen for you. There's a positive spin. Mars sextiles your ruling planet. This gives us drive, motivation, and energy behind our biggest dreams, the things we want the most, not just for ourselves, but for humanity. In May, the numerology shifts to a 4, and this is like being a surfer. This is like being steady, calm, even when the waves around you are moving. On the 18th, circle May 18th is a very auspicious day for you financially. Jupiter will be cazimi in the heart of the sun in Taurus. Very auspicious time for growth, benevolence, wealth, abundance, good things to happen. Jupiter can be very godmotherly-like, very generous, right? The cosmic magnifying glass. And so just be aware of that as a very positive day for you. I know towards the end of the month that your psychic abilities and your spidey senses are increasing. And I know that in June, Jupiter will trine Pluto. So your ruling planet will be in a positive spin as we build and build and build. The good stuff gets better, and we need to use our spiritual vision to pave the way for that. As above, so below. As you think, so shall you be. What you think about expands. And so I want you to be careful or mindful of what you're putting into your brain and the messages that you're sending out there. What you're saying matters. Your self-development this month, I'm offering to all of the signs to check out the Silva meditation method. Now, this is a method developed by Jose Silva from El Paso, Texas, and it is a method for accessing higher states of mind. Higher states of consciousness help you with your spiritual vision and help you co-create the life of your dreams. So this takes practice. You don't have to be perfect. And the main thing that he says as you're going through these techniques is that it doesn't work unless your vision helps many, many, many other people. So this includes your ability to have excellent financial stewardship this month. And I want you to consider talking to some financial professionals and getting more information and getting more honest with yourself about your money. An activity for self-reflection has to do with that second house. Have you misplaced your self-worth with your net worth? Have you somehow felt good or secure about yourself based on the amount of things you have? Is there some entanglement going on there for you to see and explore and unwind? Are your purchases emotionally charged? What are your spending habits like? When are you buying? What are you buying? Why are you buying? Does it need to be bought by me? Does it need to be bought now? These are the type of questions. And there's a reading suggestion for you. In the third quarter, I want you to focus on your health. In July, this is a month of opportunity, but also a month to relax. And so the sixth energy is about nesting. It's about rose quartz. It's about essential oils in your bath. It's about feeling like the Queen of Pentacles, that everything's in place, the sheets are clean, the house smells good, and you can just nest and enjoy that space. Home is where the heart is in July. That's your biggest opportunity, is to find that state of relaxation and grace at home. In August, we have a 7 in the numerology, which is all about that soul quest. It's when we want to find our spiritual texts, listen to the songs that connect us to our divine innermost self. And it is a month where you're going to see a health pivot and a relationship pivot. Mercury retrograde will go through your 6th house of your health, your routine, your day-to-day things that you do, and your 7th house of relationships, right? This will be an interesting one to see what plays out. You're going to have an energy boost mid-August, and then you're going to have some growing pains. On the 19th, Jupiter, your ruling planet, is in a challenging position to Saturn. What we want the most out of life is challenged by what we have to do, our responsibilities, our duties. And so there's an inner tension, there's some growing pains going on. And these themes will be revisited because of the retrograde cycle in December. So know that what's going on now may be a preview for what you will have answers to in December. In September, it is an 8 month. And so this is the reminder that energy is not created nor destroyed, that what goes up must come down, that when the body dies, the soul lives on. This is the infinity symbol, the 8. Now, all things will be better in moderation. The sun is going to square Jupiter here the first 2 weeks of September. Venus will go on to trine Jupiter. And sometimes we get like a sweet tooth. And when something feels good, we go towards pleasure. We really just want more of the good stuff, right? So I want you to be aware of those feelings and those tendencies to go overboard in September, and just moderation in all things. The Temperance card. On the 18th, this eclipse goes through your 1st house of yourself, your identity. This eclipse is different than the other 2, okay? So check out the support themes for this one, the sacred reunification of your own soul, the 1st and 7th house. What's mine versus what's ours? Is there a part of yourself, like your ideas got shot down and you're having to reconcile that? Is there a part of yourself that self-sabotages when you're in relationship? Is there a part of yourself that you haven't fully accepted or understood? Where do you need that reunification process going on inside? Is there a part of you that's been playing small or big? And we're needing to right size and go back to that moderation in all things. And if we're talking about the 1st house, we're also talking about the 7th house. The 7th house has to do with our relationships. And this is the relationship inventory that I personally do. I didn't write these questions, but I do use them in order. If I'm upset out there, I know that I've got 3 fingers pointing back at me, and that I can do some personal work and discovery and reflection to understand myself, to understand my motives. And so once I have shared this with a closed mouth friend, I'm going to rest on it, sleep on it, meditate, pray about it, and ask that these defects of character be removed so that I can see the hole that I'm about to step into instead of repeating stepping into the hole, right? I'm not going to look for bread at the hardware store because I know that the hardware store doesn't sell bread. So I'm not going to set myself up for upset, disruption, dysregulation. Now, if this isn't you, if this is all those other Pisces, don't worry about it. Something that you could do on a more regular basis is to check in with your buddies, your lovers, your kids, your parents, the people that you're really, really close to in life. See what's going well between you. Ask them how you can improve. What can you do better? Ask them if they feel like you have been of service to them. And if not, where can that change? I want you to consider a spiritual healers list too. Let's see. Oops, sorry. The spiritual healers have to do with your practitioners that you want to work with, the spaces you want to play in and work in, the home remedies kits that you want to acquire and use throughout the year. And this is something that is great to have on a list with contact information, so that when you get into a rut or before you get into a rut, that you know, okay, these are the maintenance things that I want to do for my health. Excuse me. For self-development, I'm inviting everybody this year to check out, research, go back and learn the history of the Ho'oponopono prayer. And it goes like this. It's inward, right? I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Your stewardship is to yourself, right? Is to your body, to this body temple. Is your body your temple? Do you believe that? And if so, how are you taking care of it? What does that mean to you? Your self-study journal prompt is to really ask yourself, what is it like to be on the other side of yourself? I have this great book recommendation for you guys. It's called Metaphysical Anatomy by Yvette Rose. And if your body is talking to you, if you've got something going on in the physical, it's connected to something in the metaphysical. And she will show you what and how. And it is fascinating. It has been spot on for me. Okay, the last quarter of the year, Pisces, you're going to feel like you're answering a calling. The destiny is here, right? This is more than just your career and reputation. This is something that answers a deep calling. It could be a joint venture. You have so much of this 8th house shared resources energy going on. In October, it is a 9-month, which is the integration month, which is the same as January. So something's coming full circle in what? The eclipse in your 8th house theme of shared resources. So look back at those 2nd and 8th house themes, those reunification of values and your worth inside yourself. Know that October is a pretty good month for you. There's a lot of information exchange, energy flow, transmission, learning things, taking classes, giving classes, student and teacher information. This is a good positive month for you, Pisces. And in November, as we get into the 1 month in numerology, we're going to be more hyper-focused on what? Right-sizing things in our career and our reputation. Our career is the 10th house. And so you want to study your midheaven in astrology, right? My midheaven is in Virgo. And so no matter what I do, no matter what I'm teaching or talking about, it needs to be delivered in a Virgo way, where I feel like I'm taking good care of your health, where I'm giving you bite-sized, concise, bullet point information that you can take in, digest, and use to your advantage. So whatever your midheaven is, that's going to help you understand what type of behavior will feel fulfilling to you in terms of your career, your give back, the thing that the world needs from you the most. In December, the numerology shifts to a 2, and this is about not only our relationships, but the relationship we have between the physical and the metaphysical, with ourself and our higher power. I want you to plan for some quality time here and to really take care of yourself. We've got Mercury and Mars retrograde. There will absolutely be some delays going on. There will absolutely be some obstacles and reasons to slow down and take it easy. Jupiter squaring Saturn, so there's growing pains, there's tension. You might see them or feel them more in your 6th house, your health, your routine, the day-to-day processes that you do to keep the home fires burning. Could show up for you in your 5th house where you really, really want to play, but you got to do this, right? Your self-development offer Again, I'm offering everybody the box breath this year. So the box breath, this is a simple technique that you can use to reset your energy and regulate your nervous system anytime. Basically, you just inhale for 4 counts. You pause at the top for 4 counts. You exhale for 4 counts. And then you pause at the bottom for 4 counts. There are a lot of great books about breath and a lot of teachers who are very, just showing us different ways to do breath work. One that I love a lot is The Science of the Breath. And so that's a book that you may find valuable this year. Your stewardship opportunities, I want you to look for an opportunity to volunteer, to be of service, to do a give back. And in terms of an activity, I want you to find your niche. For me, a niche is astrology and beekeeping. And where do these things Venn diagram? What's similar? What can I find why do these things work together? What's different and unique? I think 2024 is going to be an amazing year to hyper focus and fine tune something that is a niche. A book recommendation is Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I like the Audible version because I like to listen to the meditations as I walk. So I have one more slide for you after this, Pisces, but just so that you can find me, my resources, my podcast, my YouTube, all of this, the blog, the articles, the stuff about beekeeping and astrology are at tiffanyharlick.com. I offer an astrology newsletter every Friday if you want to learn from me, and I do sessions and retreats. The main thing I'm excited about to tell you is the digital astrology calendar. You can use the code Stormie 2024 to get $10 off, making it just $29. I use it on my Google Calendar, but it goes in any calendar system. It travels with you across any time zone, and it shows you the planetary ingresses, transits, the lunations, the retrogrades, the moon family cycles. It's really comprehensive. And when you click on a title, the description will pop up and you can learn astrology by reading the description. You can also just look at the emoji and get a vibe for, is it a sunshiny day of flow or an umbrella day where I might want to lay low? So it's great at a glance or as a study companion. If you'd like to become a certified astrologer, I'm teaching at the Lisa Williams International School for Spiritual Development, and I offer free classes to my membership. So if you'd like to stay connected, I'd love to hang out. Last but not least, Pisces, we are here for a good time, not a long time. This is such a small blip in your precious human life. And above all else, you are here to know yourself deeply and to love yourself deeply, right? This is a journey. This is your adventure. And I hope that this year is better than ever. My heart goes out to you on this mystical rebirth that's happening, that you get to see the blessings from the supernatural world helping you forward in your life. Until we can work together again, Pisces, thank you for the opportunity to serve. It is my great pleasure, my great honor. Namaste.